Hi, it's Chris here from New Zealand, and in today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at how we can extract audio from video files, transcribe them, in other words, create subtitles, and then automatically convert those to another language of your choice, and then how to apply an AI voice back to that language. In other words, we're going to be translating the audio in a video from one language to another, and this is part of our Office AI series. So have a look at the playlist, and you'll be able to see what other tools and utilities we've got available in this series. And hopefully this could help you to save time and money for these types of services by being able to run these kind of tools yourself. And for this, all you need is some disk space, roughly 5 gigabytes, could be more depending on the AI models that we'll be using, and I'll explain that in a bit. You'll need Python 3.9. That's what I use in this example. Other versions might work, but 3.9 is the one that I'm using. I've added some download links there, so you can see here is the python.org website, and the specific one that I'm using is listed here in the second URL, 3.9. And then we've got Visual Studio Code. Again, this is free, so you can download that from code.visualstudio.com. And then there is CapCut, which is the video editing software that I'm using. Really powerful, great video editing software, again, that I can highly recommend. So those are the tools that you would require in order to run all of this that we've got here today. Now, let's jump into the code straight away, and let me explain to you what you are required to do. And again, if you're not an experienced programmer, don't worry, you don't need any coding experience to run this. As long as you install Visual Studio Code and you open up the data set that is located in the comments, you should be able to run this. So assuming you've installed Python also. You'll notice here at the bottom of my screen, I'm running Python version 3.9. I've got multiple versions of Python on my machine, as you can see here. So whenever I run the terminal and I start installing requirements, which I'll discuss in a second, it's important to set the environment, the correct environment to install those libraries too. Now, talking about the requirements, I've added a requirements.txt here for you, and there's only two that you need to install, and it is the Whisper library and transformers. So to install those requirements, all you need to do is to type the following, similar to what I'm doing, your Python installation folder. Mine is in C Python 39, and then I'm going to type the Python executable path. I'm going to type -m to set the environment, and then we're going to pip install the requirements.txt, and notice I added that -r there, and that's telling it to read that text file and install the requirements that are listed in the text file. In this case, there are only two, and I've already got them installed, so mine is just going to tell me it's already been done. So that should run through and everything should be good. I like to clear my screen whenever I'm working, so CLS is the shortcut for that. You probably know that already. All right, now also in the source code folder, there is ffmpeg, which is the tool that this script is going to use to analyze and extract information from the video and isolate that audio. And then I've got a sample video that I've provided you here with, which I'll show to you in a second. And then we have got our language code. So when we wanted to set the input video language, we need a code, and the output language, in this case, Spanish. The input is English, the output is Spanish. But for you to be able to reference those codes, I've actually placed them in a list here for you to make it a bit easier. You're very welcome. The first one here, coincidentally, is Afrikaans, which is my native language, just for your information. Okay, so now that we've looked at all of that, let's have a look at the video that I want to transcribe. And I'm just going to click there, Reveal in Explorer, and let's open up this video and see what is going on. We hope that you're enjoying the content, and there's more to come, so stay tuned. In order for us to continue producing videos and helpful content and informative content such as this one, we need your support. And you can support us by hitting the subscribe button down here somewhere. We really appreciate that, and that keeps us going. Thanks. Right, so you got all of that, and that is the video that we're going to be using. That is my subscribe pitch. So please subscribe to the channel, but also that is the sample that we're going to be using here. And we want to extract that text, that audio, convert it to text. In other words, a SRT file, which is a subtitle file. And then we want to translate that to another language, in this case, Spanish. And then we're going to be using an AI voice to actually speak that back to us. So we're not just going to create a translated subtitle file. We're actually going to create the audio that is translated into Spanish also. Now, the only thing you need to do here, if you run the script in your own examples, make sure that you place your video, whether that's MP4 or MKV or AVI or .mov, doesn't matter the format. Just make sure it's a standard video format. Place that in the same folder as the main Python executable. Make sure then when you place your video there, if it's got a different file name, which it probably would, that you update the file name and the extension here in line 10. The line 12 specifies the model type that we're going to be using. So we are using Whisper models, the AI model, and this is an open AI technology. In this case, I'm going to be using the medium one. Now, obviously, base is the smallest. Small is a bit larger. Medium and large are both larger. So it depends on how accurate results you want and how much disk space you've got and how much time you've got. I've tried the large model together with the maximum model that I could use for the Facebook's M2M model, which I'll talk a bit about later. And my computer took a very long time, but I found if I just set this to medium, it runs fairly well. I don't have a supercomputer running, but I do have a GPU. So I've got a NVIDIA GTX 1070, which seems to be running this sufficiently. The input language, in my case, is going to be English, and the output language is going to be Spanish. And I want to put all of this in a folder called output. So that's what's going to happen. So when we right-click here on the main Python file and we choose run in Python terminal, it's going to start doing the work in the background, and you'll start seeing things happening here in the command line. Now, the first time when you run this, it's going to be downloading this model from Whisper, whether that's base, small, medium, or large, depending on which one you selected. It might take a bit longer, and it'll only have to do that once. So if it's downloaded that once, next time when you run this, it wouldn't have to repeat that unless you change the model type. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing is, if we scroll down here to the code, you don't have to change anything here, but just notice that we're using Facebook's M2M100 model. And this one that we're using, I've actually specified it here, is the 418 million parameter model. There is a 1.2 billion and a 12 billion parameter model. I tried using them. My computer pretty much just errored out, telling me that I don't have enough memory to run them. That'll probably work much better on something like Google Colab, but on my machine that wasn't too effective. So just FYI. Now you can see that it's running here in the background. It's transcribing the model, so it seems to be doing something. We'll just give that a minute to finish, and then we'll look at the results. Okay, so that is finished, and we can see that it's outputted two files here in the output folder. The first one is the English SRT file, which is the subtitle file. So yes, we can see there it transcribed that for us successfully. Hi, we hope that you're enjoying the content, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. That's pretty good. And we can also see that it has transcribed or at least translated the English version into Spanish version. Don't worry about the weird representation of special characters here in Visual Studio Code. If we open that in another code editor such as Notepad++, that should all display fine. But all is good. It has actually translated that for us successfully. Now, we're going to be opening up CapCut, and this is really great for video editing, and we're going to create a new project. In CapCut, I'm going to import that video that we've just created. So if I go to source here and we select the subscribe one and we add that to our timeline. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to text here in CapCut, and I'm going to go to local captions, and I'm going to choose import captions. And remember, it placed that in our data folder. So if we go here to the translated one and we open that up, it should overlay off. I have to click to add it to the model, but that should overlay it nicely with our video. And look at that. So if we scroll through that, we can see our Spanish subtitles. But more than that, when you've got all of your subtitles selected in CapCut, you can go to text to speech, and I'm going to select Julio as the voice, and we're going to click on start reading. And what it's going to do is it's going to create these voice clips based on the text. Now, you need to fine tune this a little bit. So in other words, here we can see that the audio clip is nicely placed and positioned with the video, but in some instances it created a second channel. And what I like to do is to just move these around a bit and try to keep them as close as possible to their original positions, but making sure that I don't have two channels. Otherwise, we're going to have multiple voices talking over each other, which is not ideal. So I'm going to move that around a little bit, place that here, move this back there again, and that should be good. Now, the last thing I need to do is I need to extract or separate the audio from my original video, and I'm going to delete it completely so that we don't have English and Spanish talking at the same time. At this stage, you can delete the subtitles if you want. I'll keep them there just for this exercise, but let's have a listen.
Hola, esperamos que disfrutes del contenido y hay más que venir para que permanezcan tonificados. Para que continuemos produciendo videos y contenidos útiles e informativos como este, necesitamos su apoyo y usted puede apoyarnos golpeando la suscripción, un botón abajo en algún lugar. Nosotros realmente apreciamos eso y eso nos mantiene. Gracias por...
And that's it. Excellent. From here, we can go and export that and save that to whatever location and whatever format we choose. But it's as easy as that. So to wrap it all up, all you need to do is to run the Python script that I've provided you with. Make sure that you change the video path, select your model type. You can start and practice and test with the base and the small models first if you like. Use the language codes that I've provided here to set your input and output language and run the script, and you should be good to go. I hope you found that useful. Thank you. Leave a comment and have a great week. Cheers.